Hello and welcome to this Edison executive interview. Today we are joined by Göran Forsberg, CEO of Cantargia. Welcome, Göran.
Thank you so much. A pleasure to be here.
So just to start off, your lead asset, nadunolimab, is currently being developed in both pancreatic and non-small cell lung cancer. Can you tell us about the rationale behind this and what you're trying to achieve?
Certainly. So what we have discovered and what has also been reported by others is that our mechanism of action of the lead asset, nadunolimab, is really a way to increase sensitivity to chemotherapy, which you all know. Chemotherapy can often be great, but it's often short-term responses. So what we're trying to achieve here is to add the antibody to, let's say, both give much more durable responses, and also deeper responses. And we have support both from animal studies as well as clinical studies around this hypothesis.
Excellent, thank you. So you recently announced new results from the ongoing CANFOUR trial, which is investigating nadunolimab in combination with chemo as a first-line treatment in pancreatic cancer. So could you summarize your take on these new data?
What we've seen is that when we add the antibody, there are lots of unexpected positive things happening to the patients. So the responses we see are much more durable. So we see a durability of response, which is 6.8 months, which is almost twice as long as you would expect from chemotherapy alone. There's also a big group of patients, 15% of the patients get something called a pseudo-progression, which is a very positive event and something which has been described with, for instance, Keytruda and Opdivo in malignant melanoma and non-small cell lung cancer, but there has been really no immune therapy showing these types of effects in pancreatic cancer. So it is really intriguing. And what it reality means is that the tumor appear to be growing when you look at the CT scan, but in reality there is an anti-tumor effect, and once you pass the initial scan, the tumor starts to shrink again, and the patients can be treated for a very long period of time. And we have patients that have been treated for more than 14 months now, despite having this initial progressive disease. So this is really, really promising. And altogether, let's say the durable responses and these long-term pseudo-progressive events have resulted in both much longer progression-free survival as well as overall survival than you would expect from chemotherapy alone.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, they definitely look like, definitely a promising data. So, I mean, what do you anticipate the next steps will be from this in pancreatic cancer?
So a situation we are right now is that we have treated 33 patients, and it looks very good. Most of the patients have been treated at the same dose level, and we know that regulatory authorities require that you study more dose levels than we have investigated. So in February, we started an extension phase to include a few more dose levels. We're recruiting, recruitment is going well, and we expect the last patient in during Q3. But we don't need to wait for all those data. So in parallel, we're now preparing for next steps, which will be regulatory contacts to discuss, let's say, the strategy and everything around dosing, for instance. And that will be done as quickly as possible. And once we're through that, we will hopefully be in a very good position to take the next step, which would be towards end of phase 2 meeting with regulatory authorities.
Great, thank you. And can you summarize, sort of the key news flow you expect from the program overall over the next 12 months?
Absolutely. So if we start with pancreatic cancer, there is very still patients are on the trial. So 7 out of these 33 patients are still being treated, and the survival data are not really mature yet. So there is more data to come in the pancreatic cancer material, and also extension data later on. In non-small cell lung cancer, we reported high response rates during the autumn last year. And during Q3, we expect the data set to be mature enough to present, let's say, follow-up analysis of what's going on. And then we are starting lots of new trials. So we expect protocol submissions, new and start of patients during Q2. And then we're also, let's say, starting to generate data in our Keytruda trial. We expect new results during H2 this year. And then obviously the new trial starting this summer, there will be interim analysis during next year. So we expect a very interesting and rich news flow around our clinical results here.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, no, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing the updated data in non-small cell lung cancer, and you know, following the new indications as well closely. So last but not least, you released several announcements about your other preclinical asset, CAN10. What was the latest update, and you know, when can we expect that to sort of enter the clinic?
Yeah, no, so we present. So the CAN10 project, it's being developed for autoimmune inflammatory diseases, and the lead indications are systemic sclerosis and myocarditis. And we presented very interesting preclinical data in a treatment of myocarditis at the American Association of Immunology a few weeks ago. And what it really showed was that we had very strong effects in myocarditis model, really restoring the heart function in a way which was unique compared to controls, and also, let's say, similar reagents with much more narrow mechanism of action. So we're confident that we're on the right track. We're then also looking to present systemic sclerosis data later on this year, and start clinical trials early next year.
Excellent, thank you. Göran Forsberg, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us today.